think that sometimes when we read the Bible, we forget that these were real people. Like, these are real people with real emotions. These were people with real lives. These were people who were in real places going through real things. And especially, I think that in this day and age, when we read the Bible, we read it through the perspective of these people are superhuman beings that I have to try to be like. We call Abraham the father of faith, right? Abraham is father of faith. Yes? Everybody looking at me? Okay. Call him the father of faith. Now imagine this. God has given you a promise. Right? Now, Abraham did not have, he did not. Abraham and Sarah did not have Isaac until he was 100 years old. 100 years old. Now, you can't get no more special than that. I'm able to still rock on and have children at 100 years old, and this is the son that God has promised me. And my wife, her wife Sarah, laughed when she heard God say that she was going to have a son at an old age. Now imagine God waking you up in the middle of the night, dads, and saying, hey, the son that you love, the one that I promised you, that there's going to be a lot of generations through, your descendants will outnumber the stars. I want you to go take him up and kill him. Now, not even thinking about what you're thinking about. Imagine what your wife got to say. Imagine what your wife got to say about this. Because let's go. I got Genesis 21:9. This is Sarah's temperament now. Now Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, whom she had born to Abraham, mocking. Therefore she said to Abraham, drive out this maid and her son, for her son of this maid shall not be an heir with my son. The matter distressed Abraham greatly because of his son. But God said to Abraham, do not be distressed, because the lad and your maid, whatever Sarah tells you, listen to her. For through Isaac your descendants shall be named, and of the son of the maid I will make a nation also, because he is your descendant. I'm going to stop right there. Now, just a chapter before, you got Sarah saying, yo, I got a child, I got the son that God promised me. Now get this other son out of here. I think she kind of loved her son. I think she kind of held on close to Isaac. I think she kind of wanted him to be number one in the land. But God wakes you up in the middle of the night and says, take your son, give him as a sacrifice, for it will please me. Now, she probably had a whole bunch of cuss words when he went to go tell her. How strong of a relationship must you have with God to wake up and have to get the boldness to tell your wife, hey, I need to go sacrifice our son. God said that I need to go up here, I need to take him, and I need to give him to him. She probably has some more church boys again. But nevertheless, this is one thing I want you to know, fathers. Sarah knew Abraham's track record with God. She knew that he heard God and that he obeyed God. So she submitted.
Yeah. That's
good. That is the only number one reason she did that.
Right.
Yeah.
We have to be connected, fathers, to God in such a way that when God has given us a decision, and no matter how crazy it's hard to tell our wives what we want to eat, let alone, you want to sacrifice my only son? She knew the relationship Abraham had with God. So she had no problem submitting to her husband. We have to get to that place. And it's going to be hard. But it only comes through trust. And it only comes through spending time. And it only comes by humbling ourselves and knowing that we don't know best. I don't care how much schooling you got, how many degrees you got, how many followers you got, how many books you done read. The wisdom of God surpasses all of that. Yeah. Because if I was to stand up here and I built an altar and I would say, hey guys, the Lord woke me up last night and told me that I got to sacrifice my son on this altar in front of everybody. Y'all gonna look at me like, Child Protective Services. This boy done lost it. But his wisdom was above that. God told him to go to the land of Moriah. So I'm saying we got to read the Bible and study the Bible because names mean something. Yes. Moriah in Hebrew means Yah is a teacher. Think about this. You're taking your son to sacrifice him in a place in the land of Moriah. In the beginning, it says Abraham tested God. God tested Abraham. 22, it says, now it came about these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and he said, here I am. Abraham knew that this was a test. When we get mature in a relationship with God, we don't have problems with tests. Because we know whether we pass or fail, the way that we look at it, it still benefits us at the end. If I pass, I'm good in what I've done. If I don't, I need to sharpen those tools. Yeah. Abraham knew either way, God is faithful. Yeah. He knew either way, if God has given me this promise, either way, if I kill my son or if he provides, the situation is going to rectify itself because he's God and I trust him. Mm-hmm. Men, we have to get to this point where we got to sacrifice ourselves, and guess what? We have to sacrifice our family to God. Our lives are not our own. Yeah. Yes, we are responsible for our family, but we can't be responsible for our family by our own hand. We can't be responsible for our family by our own heart. We can't be responsible for our family by our own mind. If we want success in family and in fatherhood and being a man, we must submit to the will of God. There's no other way. I don't care who your mentor is. If their mentorship is not coming from the Bible, situations and circumstances, of course. But if it's not founded from biblical teaching, it's not going to work. Because we are different individuals. We grew up in different places. We had different parents. We have different thoughts. We have different environments. So if a mentor comes on, and there are probably over 100 million videos, books, and stuff about success, right? Why isn't everybody successful if there's an abundant information on success? Number one, everybody's not willing to do the work. Yeah. But number two, everybody's not wired the same way. That's why you can have one book on success from different perspectives and people are going to buy it. But the reason that they have that information is because they lived that experience. We haven't lived this experience called life. So the only way that we can get information is from the one who created us and who's been here and who knows all, who is God. We have to run to the Father, not to our vices. Because I know Abraham had to be firm foundation in God. To sacrifice something that God has promised me? What has God asked you to sacrifice that he promised you? What had he asked you to give him that you want to hold on to so tight that you end up crushing it? What has he told you to let go of and trust him that you're holding on to? I guarantee you, all of us got something. I've heard it. Churchanese. Well, God promised me I'm not going to let this thing go. Okay, we'll see how far that gets you. Because the basketball in my hand is trash. I'm all right. But you give a basketball to Steph Curry, it turns into $1 million asset. Forget that. I signed my name on the basketball. It's worth nothing. Right? The marker, I probably pay more for the marker than somebody would pay for the basketball. But if LeBron James, Michael Jordan, just puts his name on that basketball, it becomes invaluable. Yeah. Imagine if you allowed the God to put his signature on your life. How more valuable you would be not only to your family, but to the community and to society, and bigger, the body of Christ. Yeah. But we're too busy trying to build our own kingdoms and put our name and our stamp on stuff. Even LeBron James' name can only go but so far. Yeah. But the name of God, it breaks down the name of Jesus, it breaks down every single barrier that's in our life, and we wonder why we struggle. It's because sometimes we refuse to let go because we think we know best, man. Because we're protectors. We're wired this way. We're wired to want to lead. We're wired to want to do things. We're wired to be leaders. We're wired to figure it out. We're wired to get it done. Get her done. We're wired to get her done. Sometimes by any means necessary. But I know myself personally. I have made a mess of things and brought more strife upon me and my family because I tried to do it within my own power because I did not see a way. Yeah. Because I didn't take time and say, God, what do you want to do? I'd sit there and say, all right, Eric, how are we going to get this done? Rent due, mama need clothes, baby need shoes, baby need food, we need somewhere to stay. Yo, I got to get this done, as opposed to sit and say, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do? I know I can't sit here. As a man, I got to work. I got to make money. I got to provide for my family. But how would you see fit for me to do so and open my eyes and my heart to be able to receive something, even if it's as crazy as wanting to sacrifice my only son? Because sometimes the test that God, I'm not even going to say that. I'm going to say this. The test that God has for us on this life as believers in him is to return our life back to him. Yeah. And I'm not talking about just certain, Lord, I give you my money. Lord, I give you my house. No, our lives. Right. That's the test. Because we have to die to certain things every single day. Every single day. And we wonder why we struggle. We struggle because, listen, the thing that you struggle with is the thing that God wants to remove, but you're holding it on so tightly that you're messing it and everything in it up. Because it doesn't fit within our construct. It doesn't fit within my environment. It doesn't fit. Listen here, God doesn't fit inside of a box, not the one I serve. Yeah. Our lives should be distinctly different from non-believers, even if we're doing the same thing. There has to be a certain spirit and a certain way that we do stuff that's different from believers. So, also too, fathers, what I said in the beginning is that even though if you're not a father, right, biological father, there's still somebody watching you. There's still somebody looking at you as a leader or a role model in their life. You wonder how I know? Because it says it right here. Abraham, number 22:3. Abraham rose in the morning and saddled his donkey and took 2 of his young men with him. Why didn't he just go by himself? Why didn't he just take his son and the donkeys in the middle of the night when nobody could see nothing? Why didn't he go in secret? Why didn't he just disappear in the middle of the night and nobody knew where he was? Because he knew that something was going to be taught that day. Regardless of if he had to sacrifice his son or not, God will provide. We are role models. Like Charles Barkley said, I am not a role model. Yes, you are. Somebody is looking to you for some kind of guidance. What are they seeing? Are they seeing a hypocrite? Are they seeing somebody who says this and does this in the dark? Or are they seeing somebody who's consistent? I would rather struggle in consistency, right, than to think I'm happy being hypocritical. Because you're not happy when you're hypocritical. You're not happy jumping in and out of both worlds. You're not. You think you are, but you're not. You think those vices are calming you down. You think those vices are taking away the pain. You think those vices are all it is doing is adding more to the frustration that you have. Confusion begets confusion. And I don't care, whatever you think you're hiding. Listen here, I'm not up here judging nobody. The prayer I have for everyone, including myself, is that I'm so open to certain people. Hold on, I ain't telling all my stuff to everybody. But I'm so open that the enemy cannot play with me. Yeah. He can't play with me in isolation because somebody knows my stuff. Even if I'm struggling with it. Hey, y'all, look, I did this today. I did this like for the past 3 days and tell you, I might do it tomorrow. I need help. Yeah. I need prayer because I'm struggling. Then to sit there in secret and hide and the enemy keep playing. Oh, you ain't this. You keep going back and forth. You ain't this. You keep going. The key phrase that I love about Abraham is when anybody said, Abraham, he said, here I am. I'm open for whatever you want to do. I'm open for whatever you want to do. Father, you told me to go to McDonald's. I'm going to McDonald's. Eric, here I am. Go to Mykonos. But I'm right here in the line, Lord. Like, I ordered my food already. It's going to be rude. Get your McDonald's and go to Mykonos. Okay. I get my food, McDonald's. I go to Mykonos. I like their salad, grilled chicken salad. Pay me, Mykonos. It's awesome. I'm like, okay, why do I have McDonald's? Why am I getting double food? I'm driving to Mykonos. I get to the Mykonos parking lot. Somebody's sitting there with one of them signs. He said, give him food. Give him your McDonald's. Okay, really? I like quarter pounders with cheese now. I go to give him the food. Hey, man, look. Here you go. You all right? You want some food? Man, I got you, bro. No, man, this for you, man. I'm going to get some, you know what I mean? I'm going in here. I'm going to get food. It's cool, man. Dude starts breaking down and crying. Was saying, I was asking God If I can just have McDonald's. If I can just have McDonald's. He was one of the young men that day. Who knows the effect that had on him? I don't know. It's not up for me. It's not up for me to know. It's up for me. It's up for us, fathers. When he says your name, you say, here I am. What do you want? I know I'm well versed in this area. But what do you want? Do you want me to try something new? Do you want me to just sit and shut my mouth? Listen here. Do you want my wife to take the lead on this one? Do you want me to apologize to my child? These are the things that we have to be open to. Because I don't care, fathers, especially daughters and sons. We are the first men that they're introduced to. We are the first men that they're introduced to. And I would ask yourself, this is for, I go both sides. Fathers, are you the man that you would want your daughters to marry? And I go to moms too. Moms, are you the woman that you would like your son to marry? Think about that when you're in their sight and when you're not. Amen. So Abraham took the young man and the donkey, and he said, this thing bugs me out. 22 verse 5. Abraham said to the young man, hey, y'all, stay right here. Stay here with the donkey. And I and the lad will go over there, and we will worship and return to you. If that's not faith, I don't know what faith is. I know that God has told me to do this to my son, but he has promised, he had put something down so deep inside of me that I know whatever happens, I have so much faith in God that if I kill my son, he's going to bring him back. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I got so much faith in God that no matter what I do to my son, he's going to provide me the same son or something better. Wow. We got to get to this point that we just open our hand and say, God, take whatever you want. Because I know in your hands it's going to come. If you take it, number one, I don't need it. Or number two, you're going to replace it with something way better. Yeah. Nevertheless, let your will be done in my life. What have you lost faith in? What have you lost faith in? Because the only reason we try to take over a situation means that we don't trust anybody else to put their hands on it. What or who have you lost faith in? Because of situations, because of circumstance, because of thought process, because of what you see. I was talking to somebody earlier about faith. People think the opposite of faith is doubt. It's not. The opposite of faith is what you can see. So faith is the subjects of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, which means that what I see is stopping me from having faith. But check out this phrase, the evidence of things not seen. That means it's there. I know my son and my wife is in the other room, but I can't see them. But if I go there, I know they're there. Which means that what you're trying to get to is already there. You just can't see it yet. That's a good word. That's a good word. But we stop because we don't want to give away the reins. Yeah. We don't want to hand it to God and allow him to shape and to prune and to mold and to chisel into what he wants us to be because it's hurtful and it's painful. Of course it is. We've never been what we're supposed to be. But how are you going to get to where you're supposed to be if you don't go through something? I can't imagine, I can't imagine Abraham's inside right now going through a battle. Because just because we're doing something don't mean we agree with it. Right. Yeah. Number one, I done spoken in faith plenty of times and ain't do nothing. You know what? I'm going to go out 3 months. I'm going to go to the gym. Boy, I'm going to be looking like an underarm mannequin. First day, I'm good. Second day, I done paid my money for the gym and everything. You know what? I'm going to just do push-ups and sit-ups today. I'm going to do my jailhouse workout. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like driving all the way to the gym, so I'm going to just do my jailhouse workout. I'm going to run a mile on the street. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get my run in and all of this. But then all of a sudden, I start talking myself out of. But even though I paid $300 for the year. That still ain't motivate me. Ain't we all? That's the thing. If the enemy can get you to see your obstacle, he can get you to stop. Faith is the process of seeing the obstacle, but still reminding yourself of what God said and to keep going. Yeah. Abraham was like, yo, you know what? I'm going to go ahead with this process. I done walked with God before. He said it. So I'm going to go ahead and go through this process regardless. I know I'm going to come back with my son. Lord, please help me now. I know you able. I know, but I'm going to just keep on. I'm going. Sarah, if I don't come back with my son, Lord, Sarah going to kill me. I can't go back home. You know. So they keep going. They keep going. But this is the thing. This is the thing. Isaac was at the age of knowing what's going on. Yeah. He was not oblivious to this ritual. He like, yo, Pop, we usually take the lambs up here, man. It's usually an animal involved in this process. And we naked of animal right now, brother. Well, what's the deal? God will provide, son. Do you know how much you have to respect your parent? Do you know do you know how trusting you have to be to know somewhat you're going somewhere where you usually kill something? But the thing you kill ain't available. Right. Not only that, he was obedient to the point of death. It says Abraham bound his hands. Yep. Jesus. I don't know about your children, but I know my child back there. If I start tying his hands together, and he see tools for sacrifice, he ain't staying. And the joker fast. So I'm gonna have to. Isaac respected his dad so much that he was like, I trust my dad, that he knows best. But I guarantee you that didn't come easy. It didn't come with giving them everything they wanted. It didn't come with telling them everything they wanted to hear. It didn't come with being 100% mean all the time. It came with having a loving relationship, number one, with God. To be able to love yourself, to be able to love your child. And I think that we older generation has been so poisoned because most of us grew up in quote unquote some fatherless generations or crack eras or all of this stuff, that we've been so desensitized to things that we don't even know what we should know. We don't even know what we should be doing. So we do what we know best. I get it. Nobody's a perfect parent. Nobody. We don't come with a handbook. But the one who's written their DNA, we have access to. So I challenge parents, when your child acts a little off kilter, ask God, what is that thing inside of them that he wants to use for his glory? I guarantee you'll look at it differently. You wouldn't say, oh, they just stubborn. You will say, oh, they just want to talk back. Oh, they want to know everything. God, how do I guide this? How do you want me to steward this gift? Because every kid ain't got this. How do you want me to steward their inquisitiveness? How do you want me to steward their boldness? Because they ain't going to disrespect me. Hold on now. There is a time and a place where I just told you so. Because God did not, he didn't tell Abraham why. He didn't tell Abraham, go take your son so I can provide something for you. He's like, just go and do it. But the question that comes behind the question that comes behind the statement shows how much you trust God. If God says do this and you say why, we got to kind of reevaluate this thing. Because let you say something. Hey, sit down. Why? Right. Don't run out there in traffic. Why? Some things is just don't do it right now. Because you'll kill yourself. But guess what? They still have a choice. And the choice has consequences. Y'all don't throw stones at me. Don't throw stones at me. I'm going to say it. Most of the time, it's not the devil, it's us. Yeah. It's our decision-making process. It's not the enemy. We know what to do. We just don't. Sometimes out of ignorance and sometimes out of stupidity. And sometimes out of just willingness. Yeah. But then when the consequences come, it's, why God? Lord, the enemy is on me today. No, he ain't. You just don't want to give it up. Ain't got nothing to do with the enemy. It got something to do with your discipline. That's what it got to do with. The enemy can't make you do anything. All he can do is entice you to do something. Isaac was obedient to the point of death. You hear me? He allowed I can't get over this part, his dad to bind him and lay him on this altar to die. He knew it. But he trusted his father because his father trusted God. We got to be able to be trusted, y'all. Men, don't throw stones at me again. What? I can take it. Men, some of the reason that our wives don't trust us and they don't submit and our children don't is because we're inconsistent. We're inconsistent. We say one thing and we do another. It's quiet in here. We say one thing and we do another. I want this, but I'm not going to do this to get this. I'm going to do it my way. And they're like, They got that thing like, I don't know. I think we should have made a left back there. No, I know where I'm going. U-turn. Shut up. I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, but I don't think that nail is going to hold that up, baby. I know what I'm doing. We got to be able to submit, man. You cannot be a great leader without being a phenomenal follower. What we don't understand is everybody is following somebody. And everybody is worshiping something. Who do you follow and what are you worshiping? Because that will come out in your decision making and then come out in your family. Because this is a perfect example right here. We knew who Abraham worshiped. We knew how much his family, his wife and son, was saying, okay, you can kill me. Because they knew he listened and trusted God. Think of how dope your household would be if your wife and children knew that you heard from God. It'll sound just like this. Quiet. It might not start off like that. Hey, honey, I was up in my quiet time, and the Lord told me that we got to make this decision and do A, B, and C. Are you sure that's what God told you to do? I'm 100% sure that this is what God is telling us. And even though, if it does not turn out the way that he showed it to me, I know that he'll make a way. All right, children, pack up. Daddy said. What? Daddy said? Why we gotta go? Because Daddy said. Okay, Daddy said, let's go pack. That'd be super dope. To the point of death? Hey, Daddy said we gotta pack up and drive into Catawba Lake. Are you sure, Daddy? Has Daddy was smoking that green stuff? That mommy drinking that brown stuff? You sure he wasn't? And your wife relays it to the children. Daddy said we're going to drive into the Catawba Lake. And they say, can I wear my favorite outfit? But we laugh about that, but that's how family should be. Yeah. I'm not saying we're not going to have disagreements on things. We're different people. We are. But at the end of the conversation, this is what God said. This is what I believe that God said, and I've been spending time on this. This is not a quick one turnaround decision. I did not make this overnight. I've been in prayer and fasting about this for weeks. And this is what I believe God said. I'm still trying to understand that. But Abraham had to trust God to the point of death. Are we trusting God to the point of death? Are we trusting God to the point that when he says something that we do it, no matter how ludicrous it may seem? Men, when something happens, is our first thing to go to God in prayer? Or to go to a book or a YouTube channel? Is our first thing to run to God in prayer, or to run to an addiction? Is our first thing to run to God, or to run away from him because it makes us feel uncomfortable? These are the questions that we got to ask ourselves daily. And number two, Abraham was not thinking about himself in this situation. He was thinking about what God said, no matter what he said. This is what he was thinking. He wasn't thinking about, God, you told me, God, you said, what about their promise? None of this came up. Whatever you want me to do, that's what Abraham said I'm going to do. We have to get out of this concept and construct in our mind that we know best. Father knows best, but it's our Heavenly Father who knows best. And if we don't consult him in everything that we do, it's going to be tainted. And there's going to be consequences. And fathers, the thing we have to understand is that the decisions that we make and do not make fall on our family. The decisions that we make or don't make fall on our family. So sometimes our family reflects, I'm not going to say that, 100% of the time our family reflects our decisions. How are we making decisions? I don't know about you, but I want my wife to be submissive to the point of Sarah, and my child to be submissive to the point of Isaac. That they know that what I'm saying is out of love and not out of manipulation to get them to do what I want them to do, but to tell them to do what God said to do. Those are two different things. I'm not trying to get something out of them. I'm not trying to get something out of them. I'm not trying to manipulate them for a purpose. I'm not trying to get you to do, I'm not trying to get my wife to do something or trying to get my son to do something. I am telling them what God has said to do for their own good. And guess what? Sometimes it might not be for my own good. I have to sacrifice for the life of my family. That's what we have to get to, man. To the point of when we have a decision or something to do, we run to God and not to man. That we run to God and not to vices. That we run to God and not to earthly wisdom. That we run to God. So I want to challenge you this morning. That when we have situations, when we have decisions to make, when we have sometimes our dreams will have to be sacrificed on the altar for them to come true. We have to allow God to get to a place in our lives that he can work.